Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.
Hi, I'm Cherry Johnson with Watauga County Arts Council, and as you probably know, if you watch this very often, we often spend some of our time promoting other arts activities that are happening all through the community because we believe you should be involved in the arts no matter who's doing them. We are excited to have Appalachian's theater department in our community. They do so many cool productions, and I'm really excited to be able to present to you some folks that are putting on the Countess. Is this correct? Yeah. This is Paulette, Marty. Okay, and Sue Williams. Paulette is the director of this production, and you're a theater professor.
Yep, I'm a theater faculty member.
Okay, and Sue, you're with the costuming.
Costume designer.
Do you teach costume design as well?
I do sometimes, yeah.
And you also sew.
Oh, yes. Yes.
A lot.
A lot.
And then we have Jake Daly. You might remember Jake. He's been here before with Varied Productions. And are you a senior now?
I am.
I figured you must be.
Yeah.
Jake's the star.
This is his last show with us.
Paulette, tell us about the Countess. What is this show about?
It's about, Jake plays John Everett Millay, who is a 19th century British painter. His most famous painting is Ophelia, but his work, he did a lot of work. It was used in advertisements. It's you would know if you saw some of his paintings, you would recognize them, even if you don't know his name.
Wow.
He was a really prolific and famous painter in the 19th century. And he actually came to fame very young. And part of what really catapulted him in his career was there was an art critic named John Ruskin who was very well respected, and he championed Millay and some of his friends. And so that's really what kind of put them over the edge into real high reputations and real stardom in the British art world. And so then shortly thereafter, John Ruskin, the art critic, invited Millay to come to Scotland with he and his wife for sort of a painting holiday, to go and be in a cottage where Ruskin could write and Millay could paint. And Millay fell in love with Ruskin's wife. And so that's the incident that this play is about, just sort of how that happens and what these relationships are like between primarily these three people, but then also the other people in their lives.
Now, how does the word Countess fit into this whole thing?
Well, you want to talk about that, Jake?
Sure. The Countess is actually a nickname that John Everett Millay gave to John Ruskin's wife.
Oh. Okay.
While in Scotland. Reasons have been kind of varied, but one of the theories behind the nickname is just that he thought John Ruskin's wife, Effie, was a very dignified woman, very proud, very royal, just had this quality of beauty and grace and all these qualities of what he thought royalty would have.
Ah, okay. Now, this is set in what time frame, Sue? I guess you know that as well as anybody does.
Yeah, well, you could say in a very large context, it's set in the Victorian era, which is a huge, huge period of time. It's really set most specifically in 1853, 54, right around, they go over December into the next year. So that puts it in a real specific period in terms of the look of it, of the costumes and that kind of thing.
So everyone is currently in costume. I've heard of productions like this that were set in a different time, but they were wearing contemporary costumes and things like that.
This one is. I can't imagine doing that because it's so much about these particular people that lived in this particular place and time. And so we never even on this one discussed that possibility.
No.
Yeah.
Now this sounds dramatic as opposed to comedic.
Yes.
Okay.
It is. I mean, it's got some funny moments. Jake's character he's a little quirky.
He's an artist. What do you expect?
He's a quirky young artist, and so there's definitely some funny moments in it. But it's inherently a dramatic piece. Yeah.
Now, is this let's see, you're graduating in the spring, so will this be your last production?
It will be. It will be my last main stage production with Appalachian.
So you're going out with a bang.
Yes. Yes, very much so. This has been a spectacular show to go out on.
That's great. Now, what's been the most exciting part of doing this production, or maybe the most challenging part?
Oh, well, probably the most challenging yet, like, the most interesting aspect is the fact that these are historical characters. And there's so much information about them, and I've never gotten a chance to do a role or work on a character that actually came from history. So it's just been an entirely different process.
So you had to do research and a lot of things like that?
It was a great deal of different kind of research. It was almost like a different area of research. Because usually I would have to look up, I would research the world that the plays would be set in, and then look at what the play presented about the characters, if they were fictional, and just come and be able to fill in the gaps myself. But with a historical character, I've had to do a lot of research on them, what their biography led to, what primary sources said about their personality, and it's more of trying to embody that, be like, okay, what would have been like to cause all those characteristics, so that I personally can personify them as best as I can.
So you can become the person.
Yeah.
Now, this is a true story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does, I don't want to give away the ending, but I mean, is it one of those stories that you end up going, why in the world did I, was that story, or was it one of those you're like, okay, this is one I feel good about. I feel like I've walked away with a sense of completion.
Well, that's
Paulette.
an interesting question.
Not knowing the end of the story.
And I won't give anything away, but the way that the playwright wrote this story is, I've really come to admire and appreciate, because it's got this, I mean, Effie is really the central character, and it's really her story of sort of navigating her feelings for these two men, right? And she sort of in the second to last scene of the play, she has resolution about that. I mean, she sort of makes a decision, and we kind of feel like, okay, that's the decision,
Yeah.
But then there's this last scene that you feel like, okay, I got a handle on that. I feel satisfied. And then this last scene comes, and it really sort of throws you for a loop.
Interesting.
And leaves you were feeling satisfied and like you could, go home and rest easy.
Yeah.
And then this last scene comes at you, and it sort of unsettles you again.
Interesting. So you
So,
leave with that something
does,
not quite
yeah.
there. Yeah.
What I really like about this production and this play is that it really presents these characters as very complex human beings. And so many plays about historical characters, there might be one really complex one, and then the rest are just sort of simple archetypes that are there to represent the eccentric artist or the this or the that, And this play really doesn't do that, especially with the three central characters. There's a lot of ambiguity and complexity in them, and that's really, really fascinating to me.
Interesting. Very interesting. That's intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, now, Sue, I've got a question for you. Sounds like, from the outsider's point of view, because I've never done what you do, that your work is primarily well in advance of the production.
Well, some of it is. There's a lot of research also, meetings, working with the other designers and talking with the director and reading the play over and over and over and trying to figure out the approach you want to take, that kind of thing. And designing the costumes, drawing the pictures, you know, all that. This is what they're going to look like. But they're still, while they're in rehearsal now, that's when we're building everything. We're in the costume shop is in full swing and producing everything that we need. And it won't all be done until it's time for the show to open. I mean, it all kind of coincides. It all happens at the same time.
So once the show opens, your job is finished? Or do you still stick around to tuck and
No,
pin and
actually,
whatever.
generally speaking, if you're the designer, once the show opens, kind of like the director, your job is finished. Now, in educational theater, your job's never really totally finished. You're still around. But we do have people who take over. We have a particular, a crew of students, the wardrobe crew, whose job it is to take care of the costumes during the show,
Okay, that's one
to
thing.
do the laundry, to do repairs, to do quick changes backstage, to keep track of everything. That's their job. So, yeah, technically, once the show opens, then
You can sit back.
I can sit back and watch it. Yes.
Yeah.
So all of this process takes how long? How long has it been since you selected this play and then all of this was
Wow.
put together?
That's a good question.
Let's see, a really long time. I first proposed this play for production in, I first read it in October of 2013. And then it was selected in, no, actually that would have been 2012.
It would have been 12.
And then it was actually selected. We put the season together in January of 2013.
13.
And so then I started research and work on it. So
That says
it's been
it's a
2
lot,
years.
yeah.
I've
Because
basically,
this is 15, so
Yeah.
yeah, uh-huh.
I've been working on it for 2 years.
Wow.
And I mean, not full time,
Right.
obviously. I've been living with and thinking about this play for 2 years. And I have we have a wonderful student dramaturg on our team, Luke White, who has really helped. The dramaturg is the sort of member of the team that does a great deal of research and analysis of the text. And he actually got a research grant to go to England and do research last summer.
How cool.
And so, and several of us were there together for a study abroad experience, the lighting designer and the stage manager and Sue and I and the dramaturg. And so we went and looked at paintings by
Yes.
Millay. And so it's just been a really, really rich experience.
That's great.
Research. And the cast, we actually did auditions and cast it this past November.
Yes.
I was
So the
going to ask
cast
how long
has
you've been.
has
yeah.
been involved in it for about 3 months. So they got involved later, but it's been an intense 3 months.
It has.
So she's tried to funnel everything she learned into your head.
A little bit, yeah.
And the dramaturg has done the same thing. So we've just been flooding them with information.
And it's been great though because this is such a rich story. Like when I first read it, I was like, this actually happened. Oh my gosh. It's one of those stories that you are like, I can see this being written, but I can't see it actually have happened. But it's great because then you start getting into all the history behind it all, and it's enthralling.
Interesting. Well, they say art imitates life, and I think a large number of plays are built on someone's knowledge of a personal experience that somebody's had.
Yeah.
And so in this case, it was just taking a real experience, which life is dramatic.
Right. Right. Oh, yeah.
We all know that. And so taking that real experience and turning it into something like this that is not only informative but really entertaining sounds very intriguing.
Yeah. 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 And it's great. The one of the things that we did because we had Christmas break after casting,
Right.
is we had a couple of rehearsals before Christmas break, and then I gave them all assignments like a good teacher.
I was just I'll bet Jake had a very busy Christmas.
Well, they did a lot of reading, but also then like Jake, so they each had something to do to start sort of looking at the world through the eyes of their character. So Jake sketched.
Good for you.
And so he's been sketching madly for the last couple months.
So have you discovered a new art form?
Doodling. Mine are nowhere near the quality of Everett Millay, but it was really interesting to try to do the same stuff as him. Just look at the world the way he does.
Right.
And he's got such a microscopic eye. It's been a really interesting experience just trying to do the same type of work he tried to do.
Yeah.
One thing that impresses me I've done a lot of interviews with folks from the theater department, and it seems like that the world of theater is so much deeper and richer than people think it is. You know what I'm saying? Than just look at it and you do a production and somebody says a costume and somebody gets on the stage and does some acting and that's it. That's nowhere near all of it.
Yeah.
To me, it seems, and I'm not in theater. I'm in arts, but I'm not really in theater. And it seems to me like that every play, every production seems to be a life-changing event for all of you. You know what I mean? That somehow it influences your view on the world for life.
It's. I mean, I always learn so much. I mean, I've learned about 19th century art and ideas and stuff and pre-Raphaelites, but also you also learn about the way that different people in different historical eras, like what motivated them.
Right, exactly.
What, you know, and then just what motivates everybody, you know, when you're working out, so we're having this argument on stage, what is it about, how am I feeling, how, you know, I mean, sort of breaking that down is, it really, you learn a lot about a lot of different things by doing theater.
It's intriguing,
I find.
Now, Sue, after a production, do you recycle costumes? How does this work?
In a manner of speaking, we will put them all in our costume storage room, which is cram-packed full of things that we've built for other shows or bought, or people have donated to us, that sort of thing. And the ideal situation, of course, is that a show will come along down the road and you'll be able to use it again. And we keep that in mind when we're building. You know, you put extra large hems and things and put them together in ways that will make them easy to get back into and use them again. That's always a consideration. So yeah, every now and then you make kind of weird, funky, one-of-a-kind kind of things that you think nobody's ever going to use this again. But it's very often true that we can take it back out and adjust it or alter it or change it around, take the top from this and put it with the skirt from that and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Because I'm envisioning exactly that, where you take pieces and parts of
exactly,
one or the other.
Yeah. And for instance, we were saying that Jake probably last time talked to you was here for Holmes. When we did Holmes back in the fall, and I was a designer for that, we didn't build anything. That's all we did, was take existing pieces and put them together in different combinations and figure out how to pick and choose, just because we had so many things and a shorter time span.
Right.
This one, it's very much building it for these people in this place, you know, this show in this particular situation.
Well, they're building gorgeous dresses.
That's what I'm imagining very much. Now, are there costume changes for each of the major characters?
Yeah, everybody changes clothes.
Cool. Yeah. Actually, the three main characters, the three main actors have their own dresser because there's so many. Wow. I mean, they walk off the stage because every scene is set in a different day. Sometimes there's like 4-month gap, so they change.
So obviously you're not wearing the same outfit.
Pieces of their clothes between every single scene, and there's 15 scenes.
Wow!
Yeah. And so you know, and it's like 30 seconds, and so they go off stage, go like this. Somebody just whipped clothes off of them, whips other clothes on them, and then they go back on stage.
That's that crew I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That must be quite an experience.
It is quite. It's more like world of the play. Get off stage. Oh my gosh! Come on.
Right.
We're on the play. All right, good.
Kind of like race cars when they stop at the pits.
Absolutely.
Right,
But this time
right.
you get the experience of the race car, not the race car driver.
Yeah, the actor really has to trust the crew person.
I think somebody should write a play of what it's like backstage.
Oh, they have.
They have.
They've written plays about
But
it.
not quick changes,
actually.
Probably not quick
You should
changes.
think about
fun to
this.
watch.
You really should. You should look for that play.
It's an art form.
We'd all be interested in this. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of drama behind the scenes.
Well, the interesting thing is, you know, everybody assumes that there's a lot of drama, but the truth is, in theater and dance departments, we're all so busy doing stuff, and we have to work together so much that if there's a lot of drama, it just makes life really difficult. And so in some ways, in my experience, actually, theater and dance departments often have less kind of interpersonal drama than some of the other departments on campus, because those people can go into their office and shut the door and not talk to that person across the hall for 2 months if they don't want to. But that doesn't really work in what we do. So we just sort of keep busy.
Well, I have noticed a very strong sense of family between all of you. You know, I see that.
We spend so much time together.
So and I'm sure that both of you, all the students you've had years and years ago, still stick out in your mind, and you maybe even can stay in touch with.
Of course.
So you know that family sense carries on way beyond the
Right.
teaching time.
I would say probably a third of my Facebook friends are former students. So,
My father-in-law was a professor, and I noticed that his Facebook friends were all,
Yep.
past students and colleagues,
Yeah.
or not all, but large number. So that's your whole world, in a
You
lot
got
of
to
ways.
keep up, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to know what happens.
So, Jake, that means that when you leave here, we're all going to wait to see what you're doing next, which is what?
Actually, I am currently in the process of auditioning for several different theaters, looking for a job, hopefully, to come my way.
So you're going professional then when you leave here.
I am hoping to, yes.
Good for you. Now, where is all this?
He's also done quite a bit of stage combat work, and so that's one of the areas that he's really interested in
I
working
think I
in.
remember hearing that about you. Yeah. So where are you hoping to go? Do you have any specific? Like some people say New York. Some people say, where are you thinking?
Well, I'm not the biggest fan of New York at the current moment in my life, but currently I've just a few weeks ago I auditioned for the Institute of Outdoor Theater.
Oh yeah.
And I auditioned for theaters like Horn in the West, Pennsylvania Renaissance Festival, and Snow Camp over in Greensboro, I believe.
That's cool.
So I auditioned for them, waiting to hear back from them once they finish their auditioning processes. And this upcoming weekend, I actually have a audition for Barter Theater up in Virginia.
Oh, that's not far away at all.
No.
Yeah.
So going to go see what can come out of that. And then I have a few other theaters on my list that I'm planning to send out applications to.
Do you ever intend to be like these ladies and work for a college or a university?
I have been seriously questioning whether or not I will do that. I know I have long-term plans of starting up a theater company with some educational aspect to it. I don't know if I would be coming back to a university, perhaps, maybe, at some point in my life. But at the current moment, I just have so many
that's not a
ideas.
specific goal.
Yeah. Right now, I don't
It's a
believe.
whole world of possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't believe I've quite honed my own skills and my own theories within the theater world to really be able to teach that to other
Not
people.
there yet.
Yeah.
Got to build some experience.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Now, did you have, either one of you have a career like he's talking about where you went out and did something else for a while and then came back to the educational world, or what?
I did acting in undergrad, but then got really interested in theater history and in dramaturgy, and so I am from Minnesota originally, and so I did dramaturgy work at the Guthrie Theater in Minnesota for several years after college. And then kind of waited tables to help pay the bills before going to graduate school. But within a few months of doing that, it became clear to me that I wanted to be back in a university. That's what I really wanted to do. But it was a fantastic experience. It was really great life experience.
And enriched
working
what you
in
can
that
do now,
professional
right.
theater. And then I, was able to bring that into grad school and into teaching.
Now, what about you, Sue?
Well, I actually took a year off in between undergraduate school and graduate school and worked, and that was all it took to convince me that I needed to go back to graduate school. I thought I can't do this the rest of my life. So I went back, and yeah, that's what I did. I mean, I got my MFA and started teaching, and I've been doing that ever since. I did work, in the summers, like the kind of thing Jake's talking about. I actually worked at Snow Camp one summer through graduate school, but once, and I've done a few things here and there in this area, when Blowing Rock Stage was still going on, and at least McRae and that sort of thing. But pretty much, I just went into teaching, and I've been doing that ever since.
So you knew that was where you were going.
Yeah. It really took me that year to go, yep, that's really where I need to be. So.
Well, some of us find it quicker than others. Well, this production, let's get to the meat of it. Where is it and when is it?
It's at the Valborg Theater on Howard Street behind the Church and Center. It runs from Wednesday, February 25th through Sunday, March 1st. The shows are at 7:30, except for on that Sunday, March 1st, when the show's at 2. It's a matinee. And you can get tickets from the Valborg box office. The phone number is 828-262-3063. And you can also get them from our website, which is theater.appstate.edu.
That's very good. You've recited all of that.
Very good.
I hope you will join us and them at these productions and not miss it. You have several, how many opportunities, how many performances is
5.
that? 5 performances.
Yep, 5 performances.
So you have 5 chances to get in there and see this production, and I think that's great. I hope you all will be back with us again soon. Jake, I don't know if I'll see you again.
Well, we'll see.
But do check this production out. Check our website for links to this and a lot more.
Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.